My name is ESO, and in today's video we're going to be obtaining the Cleanrot armor set as well as all of the Cleanrot weapons, including the Halo Scythe, the Cleanrot Spear, and finally the Cleanrot Knight Sword. Later in the video I'll also be breaking down each Cleanrot weapon's moveset as well as all of the unique skills each weapon has and how you can use them effectively depending on your character build. Two of the weapons are especially good for faith builds, but as for the Cleanrot armor set, it is actually one of the better heavy to medium armor sets in the game, with a total weight of 36. It's definitely in the top third of the armor sets when compared to other armor sets in Elden Ring, especially considering you can obtain it really quite early on in the game. The armor set itself has a high physical damage resistance and boasts one of the highest resistances to slash and piercing damage in the game for its weight. It is, however, slightly weaker to magic compared to other armor set options. And its low poise means that you can still be staggered if you take hits repeatedly. Statistically though, the best part of the armor set is the chest piece for its defense to weight ratio. Interestingly, you can also obtain a alternative chest piece which doesn't have a cape, so it doesn't look as cool, and it also offers slightly lower defenses but has one less weight, and for certain character builds, depending on your attributes, this can be beneficial. Now if you want to get the Cleanrot armor set and weapons for yourself, you're going to need to come over here on the map to the Swamp of Aeonia. This is the best farming location to farm the Cleanrot Knight armor set and weapons in the game by far. It's located here on the map, but if you do not know how to get here, I'll show you now. If you do, skip ahead to the actual farming methods. Now, if you've not already unlocked the map, there's a guide on how to do that linked below in the description. But from the first step resting spot, you're going to unlock the second and then the third resting spot. And then if you rest there, you'll unlock your mount and you can head down this path just here and all the way up this path over here. And eventually you'll get here to the Church of Marika, which is where I'm currently on the map. And now we need to go into this area. So what we're going to do to get there is go up this cliff face. So if you just go ahead and mark a little point over here on the map. So from this resting spot I just showed you on the map, we're going to head north out of this church. And on that wall over there, you can see the point I marked. And you'll also see that there is a wind, which is going to essentially bring us to the top of this mountainside. And it's kind of just like an early game shortcut, really. So we're going to use this wind here and just jump within it, which is going to send us up the cliff face. And there are some wolves up here, but you can just easily run around them. And we're going to jump up this area just here. And then we're going to use this second burst of wind to jump up this cliff. And then we're going to do it again on this one, like so. And now we're on the very top of the mountainside. So you'll then be right here at the top of this cliff, just here on the map. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come north to this path and we're going to follow it all the way around, and you'll come up to this first resting spot just over here. Continue along the path to this next resting spot and then continue along the path to the next one just over here, the smoldering wall. Then what we're going to do is we're going to follow the path all the way to the south. So here we are at that resting spot I just marked, and we're going to go ahead and head over to our marker now. Just head literally straight down the path here. Then just on the left, when you get to this tree, you will find another resting spot just here. You can see we're now just here on the map. Now, if you look at where this golden line is directing us, we're literally just going to head directly east from this resting point. And then that's going to take us to the lake. You can see the resting point in the distance just down here. So now we're just here on the map. And by the way, if you want to unlock this area of the map, you're going to want to come over here to this little glowing sort of runestone just here to grab the map fragment. You can see it's at this tomb just over here. So now you've unlocked the whole map area, we're going to go north back to the Aeonia Swamp Shore resting spot, which we unlocked just before. And now we're going to be going northeast into the swamps, and there's another resting spot here called Inner Aeonia. So put a waypoint just over there. It's by these sort of white roots over here. So So from this resting spot, you can see the waypoint just over there, pretty much where the tree is above it. And then we're going to ride over to the northeast, and we're going to mount up on Torrent, because Torrent is immune to the poison rot, or the Scarlet rot, which is all over the swamp and will kill you if you run through it. So we're going to be mounted on Torrent for the majority of this, and horse combat against these particular enemies to farm them is actually a lot easier. And if you are using a range build, this is going to be a piece of cake. So we're going to go ahead and rest here to unlock this resting spot. And now we're just over here on the map at the inner Aeonia resting spot. So from here, we're going to go directly south. And there's going to be a Cleanrot Knight that spawns just round the corner here. So once again, we can mount up, or if you're playing a wizard, you can just stand here and pretty much just cast spells at him, like so. I'm using the Rock Sling spell because it actually staggers him. And now he's dead. And you can see if he drops anything, he's not dropped anything. So we can go ahead and run back to the resting spot and just rest here again. So this is basically one farm that you can do with one Cleanrot Knight that you can just repeatedly kill. If you are struggling from range though, just jump on Torrent's back, and then you can go ahead and use the Glintstone Pebble move on the Knight just from here, because you can easily sort of move around and dodge all of his attacks. And he'll just stand there and keep spamming them at you, but you can just run from left to right and just carry on attacking him like so. And now he's dead again. And they have a chance of dropping the Halo Scythe, the Cleanrot Knight Sword, the Cleanrot Helm, the Cleanrot Armor, Cleanrot Gauntlets, and the Cleanrot Greaves. And finally, the Cleanrot Spear. Specifically, the Scythe will be dropped by enemies who are wielding scythes, and the spear will be dropped by enemies who are wielding spears, both of which exist in the swamps here. And if you are struggling with poison or scarlet rot, there are some more tips I've left in the description to help you deal with it. Now, if you're trying to farm this full set early on, it will be a lot harder. Here I'm using a melee build just to show you how easy it is though to stagger the knights repeatedly, since they don't have a high poise. Especially jumping attacks and repeated heavy attacks work really well against them. Just take care to roll away before they combo you, and also go aggressive when they try and cast their range attack, since it leaves them open and vulnerable. As you see, he's already dropped the chest and greaves. And it seems that the drop rate has increased this patch versus the rest of the video I recorded a while back using my older character. Now, if for example you die while trying to kill this guy, it's not a problem. It's actually kind of easier. So let's say for example we run over, we've just got our sword out, we come ahead and like try and stagger him. He staggers very easily in close combat, but he kills us. And then we die, and then we get a choice to respawn at the Shrine of Marika or the resting spot of Grace. Choose the Stake of Marika instead. So now we've spawned at this Stake of Marika, which is located just over here on the map. So as soon as you spawn at this Shrine of Marika, you can see there's one Cleanrot Knight just over there in the distance, and then there's another one just over here. So yeah, just go ahead and start casting spells at them like so. And one of the best ways to avoid these attacks is just to stand behind the terrain that's slightly too high for him to get over, and then you can just cast spells or fire arrows over the top. And he just keeps missing me, as you can see, so we can take him out really easily. Now, before I show you guys the best farming route, I quickly want to share some tips on how you can increase your discovery rate or your drop chance even further to make this armor set and weapons drop faster for you. Now, your discovery rate is dependent on your arcane attribute, which is a stat you don't invest in unless you have a specific weapon your character build is using. So instead, we can buff our discovery rate with 3 different methods. Firstly, and the most easy, is to use the Silver Pickled Foulfoot, which is a consumable that buffs your character for 3 minutes and increases your discovery rate by another 50 points. I have a guide on how to craft unlimited of them in the description below. Secondly, we can use the Silver Tier Helmet, which increases your discovery rate by another 8, and the Silver Scarab Talisman, which increases your discovery rate by 75, for a total of 133 more discovery rate. Guides on where to get all of those items linked below. And now you're ready to start the farming guide. So now I'm going to be showing you guys the best farming routes. which you can do to basically farm all of these enemies. As you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Cleanrot Knights that you can farm in total. However, some of them, when you come near to them, they actually kind of come out of the swamp. So they won't be there immediately, but after a few seconds, they'll spawn in. So how I suggest doing this whole farming route is basically marking these exact points on the map so you can follow along with my video. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be ignoring this one over here. There are 2 mosquitoes near him, so he's a nightmare to take out and he's just not worth bothering with. So from the resting spot here, we're going to obviously mount up, we're going to equip the right spell, and obviously you can do this in melee as well, though in my opinion it's a bit harder. And the first one is just over here, so we're just going to cast a few spells at him like so, and then we'll dodge his attack. Just come around the side here to finish him off. And now he's dead. He hasn't dropped anything. I should probably eat my silver pickled foulfoot though to give a boost to discovery rate. And now, as you can see, just for reference, the resting spot was just over there. We've killed this first one. There's another one here which we're ignoring, and then we're going south to kill these 2 next. To the west, that's the one we're ignoring with the mosquitoes. We're now going south, and you can see there's already one in the distance just over there, but there'll be another one that spawns in as we're fighting him. So we kind of want to be careful here. These are the hardest 2 to deal with, to be honest. As you can see, I died earlier trying to kill them. I'm going to take out this guy first. You can see this guy's spawning in though, so we can get a free attack on him as well, like so. But his friend has hit me, and now I've got 2 of them to deal with at once. So I'm going to swap to the glintstone pebble here. I'm just going to start taking them out. So I recommend just sort of attacking and then dashing out of the way. Take out this guy. Now I've got the last guy to deal with here, so it's a bit easier. And he's dead too. So after we've taken out these 2, we're going to head over here and we're going to kill these 2. They spawn in separately from one another, so you have a bit of time to take them out one at a time. And as you can see, all these skulls are like marked on your minimap just for reference. You can already see the next one over here. We only have just 1 to deal with because the other one hasn't spawned in yet, so we can easily take this guy out right now. Finish him off. There we go. Now he's dead. And now we have the final one. We take him out. He's got a spear, so you really want to maintain range from this guy because he actually tries to charge you down. But he's a lot easier to deal with than the others. And now he's dead as well. So now we've killed these 2. We're going to go to the last one, which is just over here. And this is like essentially the farming route that you guys are going to be repeating. So you see where these 2 treasures are? This is basically where he spawns in, just over here. So we're going to get ready and we're going to walk up and you'll see him. He's just going to come out of the swamp right here. So I'm going to ready my spell and I've completely missed him. Great. Watch out for the spear attack. Take some distance again and then just go ahead and attack. Going to try and block it, but he really can't block that much damage. So I'm just going to spam spells, and now he's dead. And now after he's dead, we can just go ahead and fast travel back over here, and then we can just do it again. Now I should just mention, obviously, with the silver pickled foulfoot, they last 3 minutes each, which is enough time for at least 1 run, potentially 1.5. But if you fast travel, they reset the timer. So as you can see, I've lost my buff on the pickled foulfoot now, which means I have to eat another one after fast traveling to reactivate it. Now we have the full Cleanrot armor set and weapons. Let's take a closer look at the weapon movesets. Starting out with the Halo Scythe. Let's take a look at the stats of the weapon first. This weapon does both physical and holy damage, and once upgraded it will have a D scaling in strength and faith, and a C scaling in dexterity. It will also apply 55 bleed on enemies with every hit. Once bleed is fully stacked, it will chunk a percentage of the enemy's health. Now the Halo Scythe is one of the best faith weapons in the game due to its versatility and the weapon skill specifically. The Miquella's Ring of Light weapon skill is completely unique to the Halo Scythe. Basically, whenever you cast this skill, you will fire a horizontal wheel of light that spins on the spot for a second before shooting forward at your enemies. This ring does holy damage and applies bleed on impact. The skill has a rather slow wind up to cast, and so should only be used at range. But once you cast the initial disc, you can then chain cast them repeatedly rather quickly. It also costs 11 focus points to cast each disc, and they have a rather long range to them. Now the damage the discs do actually stack with your faith attribute, adding some incredible range damage utility to your faith build. and each time the disc hits an enemy, it will also stack bleed as well. The light attack is a sweeping attack at a 45-degree angle, so not as good as being horizontal, and rather slow for a light attack. However, the heavy attack is a nice horizontal, wide sweeping attack, which works very well for dealing with grouped mobs. Then we have the running light attack, and the running power attack, and the jumping light attack, and jumping power attack. Next, we have the Cleanrot Knight Sword. This is a thrusting sword. In fact, it's one of the heaviest thrusting swords in Elden Ring. It's a beautiful looking weapon, and it's intended to be used in the offhand by the Cleanrot Knights. And in that respect, it's intended as a fast attacking weapon that you can weave into your combos. However, it falls short at being good at most things compared to other options. Starting out with its stats, once fully upgraded, it has a C scaling in strength and only a D in dexterity, compared to most other thrusting swords that have a B in dexterity. This is really not that great by comparison. It does have the highest base damage of all the other thrusting swords though, but this becomes rather meaningless later in the game when you compare it to damage scaling, especially considering I personally think the moveset of this weapon is rather weak and lackluster. The light attacks hit straightforward as you'd expect for a thrusting weapon, attacking directly in front of you with each attack, and the power attacks are stretched thrusts forward once again, so you have no sideways slashing attacks or any other way of dealing with any grouped mobs if this is your main weapon. It does however have the skill Impaling Thrust, which I actually do really like. It's basically a long lunge forward that breaks enemies' guards and leaves them open for a critical attack. So if someone's blocking, you can break through their guard and then just critical hit them. It's a very versatile skill, but it's also on other weapons. It's not unique just to this weapon, so it's not necessarily a specific reason of why you should use it. It also has a sprinting normal attack, which has a bit of a lunge, and a sprinting power attack, which has a very big lunge on it. And then the jumping light attack and the jumping power attack. Interestingly, however, when dual wielded, because you can get multiple Cleanrot swords, the moveset does change slightly. You can do this sort of spinning slash attack, which I thought I'd mention, but it doesn't really alleviate or salvage the limited moveset of this sword, especially given its weight that makes the light attacks and heavy attack feel rather slow and cumbersome. Finally though, we have the Cleanrot Spear to save us. A really awesome weapon, which is visually stunning. It even has a shield on it that doesn't really serve a purpose, but the description sounds like it should. The Cleanrot Spear does a mix of physical and hybrid damage, and it has a scaling of D in faith and C in strength and dexterity once you've fully upgraded it, which is pretty good. It also has a completely unique skill, the Sacred Phalanx, which also scales with your faith attribute in its damage, and it only costs 12 focus points per cast. Basically, when you use this, you swipe your spear around, hitting nearby foes, and after a short delay, a row of spears drive upwards, thrusting from beneath the ground to deal damage in an area of effect to any enemy standing in this huge palisade of spears that come upwards. This skill especially works if you're carrying behind a shield and want to kill a bunch of mobs in front of you. Now, the moveset of this spear is actually pretty impressive. If you use it once, you get a double thrust like this. However, if you tap it twice, you get a double thrust into another double thrust. You can also light attack with the spear from behind the shield while blocking for that extra offensibility while still defending yourself. If you enjoy spears, this is the best spear in the game for faith builds due to its utility, but if you're looking for the best physical damage spear, check out my part 1 video on 10 weapons and armors you can find in Limgrave right at the start of the game for one of the best spears with the best movesets in the entire game. That will be linked down below in the description, and while you're there, if you could just drop a like on the video in return, that really helps me out.